Out of my enthusiasm, I completely forgot to introduce Jesse properly. Jesse Correll is a mastermind coach, a Peter Crone mastermind coach. He also coaches for himself. He is a very amazing, beautiful, intelligent, heartfelt human being that I love and adore dearly. And that's why I have requested to interview him. And this is my chat with the one, the only Jesse Correll. Have fun. Jesse, so I'm super happy that I am allowed to, and that you said yes to me interviewing you. I know you from via Peter Crone, via his mastermind, and you are such a loving, funny, and intelligent individual. And I'm super curious about you, and I'm pretty sure more of my mastermind colleagues, so to say, feel the same way. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. That's super nice of you. Thank you for that intro. Yeah.
And so, as I said, I'm curious about you. How did you, so everyone actually gets into this work, I guess, because you were yourself also in one of Peter's masterminds.
hmm
And everyone gets into this work usually through a dark night of the soul kind of thing.
hmm
Um, is this the same for you?
Yeah.
And is
Yeah.
that you are comfortable sharing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that is kind of like a lot of people get to some struggles and start to do the inner work. And mine's well before the world of Peter Crone, which is where we know each other and where I'm one of the mentors in his program and coaches and that's been for a little while, but long before that, I've kind of been just on a journey of self-discovery. Back in the States, which is where I'm from, I live in Australia now.
Mhm.
I was really into corporate America, really successful job, and just kind of got some sense of this isn't it, and just not really feeling good inside of myself. So I left and I went and traveled by myself, drove from California to South America, and kind of had this, over a couple of years and learned a second language, but also met shamans and kind of just did this exploration of self and being really present and being with the uncomfortableness that was me. And that really was a catalyst. That wasn't my dark night quite yet, but that was like the beginning of a new beginning for me where I left an old life, started a life like really rich with travel and connection and um,
How
really,
old were you then?
I was 29.
Okay.
29, 30, 31, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So those ones. I did a lot of volunteering, became, pretty fluent in Spanish, stayed with families, really had a cultural experience, but a lesson in being present, no longer looking at the future, no longer doing that. And so that one was an awakening of sorts for me where I started to formulate something new inside. And then through that journey, I went through like a really dark period, which was just a period of kind of probably the easiest way is overwhelming anxiety, but I sort of lost my mind. That's how I would have described it, where I had these sleepless nights. I felt like I was dying all the time. I was kind of in a derealization and in a period that extended for a long, kind of a year and a half or something. And that was well down the road from then. But that was really the catalyst to really starting my beautiful career, which is cool because it was so difficult. I couldn't see a way out. Um, I had no idea anything about coaching, working with people, helping people. I was always just doing my own work. I've been working with different sort of spiritual mentors and modalities and things like that. But this was a catalyst to serving other people, that kind of life of service. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that so openly. And also, I have so many questions like where can I cut in?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So, where do you were you still like traveling a lot at this time, or were you kind of more based somewhere?
Yeah.
in one country where when you were going through the through this losing your mind.
Yeah, that was in Australia. So long story kind of short, I landed here and needed to find a way to pull my finances together and
Yeah.
like kind of pull myself out of the jungles and figure out, you know, back into the world of what am I going to do about my future and this. And I had met my now wife,
Mm,
and we moved to Australia, and so I was here. And so I was here li living a kind of a slightly different life as far as career-wise goes. But yeah, it was just kind of something that was coming that I couldn't get away from. And a little bit of when I came back out of that travel, I felt really disconnected, like I didn't belong. I'm not from here. There's a lot
mm.
of stuff that was coming up for me that just came to the forefront. And so that period was while I was here in Australia.
Wow. And what I find beautiful, because you said you had met your now wife already then, and you were going through all of this, and you stayed together through it. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. It wasn't easy for her, and wasn't easy for us. And part of that does kind of lead to how you and I know each other is on the other side of that. I we hired Peter Crone to coach us. So
Wow.
as I came out of that, our relationship was a bit disconnected. We couldn't seem to like she had helped me so much, and then I came out of the darkness with like an extreme inspired creation of serving other people, and I was really kind of thriving quickly and in a new place. Like I went from hell to heaven, which
Wow.
is kind of what the Dark Night of the Soul does.
Mm.
And then when I got to heaven, she was a little bit left behind, and then we hired Peter, and that's like the genesis of how I created a role with him.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing because I had no idea that this was, and that's why I'm so happy to talk to you because every time it's like, I want to know more about Jesse, but when is the time? But this is
Yeah.
beautiful because I have a YouTube channel. And anyway, okay. So, and I love how you said that because so you went through something really intense, which, well, most of us know that that's all part of the journey. And it's like, okay, I don't know how, but I have to kind of keep myself alive and together. And at one point, I will be out of it and it will be beautiful. But you had such an amazing experience that you were thriving pretty quickly after you went through. That's amazing. Like, can you tell me a little bit about how that came together?
Yeah, so thriving quickly, yes, still going through it, also yes. But part of it was like I was kind of the type of guy that had it all together, and you know, like good at sports, good at jobs, good at being successful on the outer world kind of appearance,
Mm,
but that had like a bit of a shell like around it. And so when I went through this period, I came out very vulnerable and raw, and as someone who probably didn't cry for like 13 years, I was crying all the time in lots of funny places like my old job. So I was contracting, and when I tried to go back to work after disappearing, I just showed up and started crying when I saw people because I was like feeling some of their suffering,
mm,
and it would just come through. And in that vulnerability, it started creating people wanting to talk to me more, and it created deeper connections. And like I still coach at a mixed martial arts gym, and I'm a wrestling coach. And so I would go there and cry, and like it's all a bunch of young men that, you know, there's some women, but mostly men, and even the owner of the gym. And it just started resonating where people were kind of lining up to talk to me. And at the old job, I was contracting as a project manager. I was finding myself filled with people wanting to hear from me, and even the place I worked at wanted me to talk to people because I was sharing very vulnerably for me, where I would have thought that was a weakness. It turned out to be a strength. And so that created, it was like, oh, my suffering is helping everybody. So I
mm.
was still kind of in it, but I was seeing like a little bit of a glimpse of the gold from the darkness. You know, I was like, oh, I can see something. And I was getting that through the darkness, getting some sort of message of like, you know, my mission here is kind of to be of love and light to others. And
Yeah.
so then I started to see it. I didn't really know coaching, you know, as like as a generic term or as a job, but it just started to find me in a sense. Yeah.
Beautiful. When you said I didn't know coaching as a generic term, now there's nothing but coaching and yoga is kind of what everyone does
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so what I had to think about when you were speaking about all the all that you were going through and so the release and people feeling drawn to you, I had to think of Eckhart Tolle because he was also like because he was just so blissful. Not that you were in a blissed out state the whole time, but what it sounds like to me is that your heart was so open, and because your heart was so open, you felt all of your emotions really deeply. And so then you also are kind of like this light that people are drawn to, right? Like this, like moths to a flame
Hmm.
type thing. So also that's my interpretation of it. Also, like probably because you were crying, but also because of the resonance that people would feel like, oh, this guy's just pure love
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a yeah, it felt like a death and a birth. I know that's pretty commonly used terminology, and I did like a ego death, but it felt like I was about as stable as a baby, but I was also very present and in tune with something new. That's why it's a birth. It was a birth of spirit,
Yeah.
something died and something awakened. And in that awakening, it created things that the like logical side of me didn't quite understand, which was like being vulnerable was creating connection. And even with my friends and people that I knew for a while, we didn't know each other like that. And
Mhm.
and they were like, we really feel like we know you now, but there was something there. I didn't do it. It was just being done.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, I did the thing. It was just kind of unfolding, and I was
Yeah.
like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that you were allowing it to move through you and to become who you came to be. And it's all about allowing them, right? And surrendering like, okay, I have no effing clue, but apparently amazing. Um, oh my goodness, there's so many ways we can go. So before we go into some other questions, I would love to know because you touched upon it a little bit and you said that you also went to shamans and um how did you like what was it that made you curious about that type of inner work?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. And it's similar in that I didn't know anything about it or look for it. I wasn't like going for it. I was in Ecuador at the time, and these two brothers that are about my age came to this town, and they were from a family of shamans, and they were doing a ceremony, a plant ceremony with ayahuasca, which I didn't do. But I met them, and I was speaking Spanish by them, which I was always happy to use my language skills. And I was talking to this guy, and he was just extremely peaceful. We're like the same age. And he's telling me about his dad and his uncle, the Los Mayores, the elders that have come from a lineage of of medicine, using this medicine is what they call la medicina. And he
Mhm.
just invited me out. They lived in the Amazon base and invited me out to their house. It was very far from where I was at the time, like 20 hours of bus, a motorcycle, a down a river.
Yeah, come by.
Yeah, I'll just come hang out. And I went and slept in a hammock at his house for a week and met the family and went through some ceremonies with them, but really just learned about the plants and the medicine and the way of living. It was really cool, like cutting down the vine, boiling it for 2 days. Like it's a few parts that going into creating this medicine, and then participating in the sacredness of it and just how they view themselves as like protectors of the earth. And so I had no like, hey, I want to go do ayahuasca. Like you would hear a lot of people at that time. I didn't know what ayahuasca was. It wasn't something, you
It's not so
know,
big then, I guess.
no,
Yeah.
it wasn't on my radar. And had I known, I probably would have been afraid of it anyways because it was quite intense. Um, but yeah, it kind of found me. Someone just
Yeah.
came, and that's just how it unfolded. Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful synchronistically. Yeah, that's how I believe life works anyway. Like everything is just when you're open and you're just like, I have no clue, and you're just following the breadcrumbs, you
yeah,
walk into things and you just know that's where you
yeah,
need to be. So you touched upon it already in the beginning of your story, and you were speaking about presence, that you were just really, I don't know if you said the word learning, but focusing on presence. Um, in your opinion, is that one of the is that one of the most important things we can focus on as human beings, presence, or are there more?
Yeah,
More
it's a
presence.
good question. Yeah. The funny thing is if you focus on presence, you've kind of lost it. So it's not something you really focus on. I think what I said is I was learning it. I was sort of like discovering the lack of presence. And it happened to be through at the beginning, just through being around like poorer people in, Mexico, Guatemala, and these different countries where they were just through their means and ways of living in the moment. It wasn't like I was planning for a retirement and all these things in the States and just everything was far out in the future and I was just kind of learning that. So I think to practice that, the best skill that I know that's been super powerful for me is listening. And really like empty listening creates a presence, whether that's just listening to you, but to others. Creating that listening is a presence and people feel that like, oh, this person really is with me on whatever it is I'm saying versus like in your head somewhere else waiting for this conversation. So it's if you practice or search for presence, work on presence, you've kind of lost presence and it's yeah. So listening is the way for me.
So listening is presence.
Hmm.
Hmm, I like that. Yeah. It's so wonderful to be with people that are really present with you and that are truly listening. Yeah, it is. Um, you love surfing.
Yeah.
What else do you love to do?
I play beach volleyball. So
Hmm.
I like sporty stuff. I surf, I'll play beach volleyball. I've got like after this, I'm going to a jiu-jitsu class and then I teach a wrestling class.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've got some activities like that. But I really love nature, like I go on these walks in the rainforest. I'm blessed to be in a really beautiful part of the world. I've got like some hobby photography, so I'm kind of a bird nerd. I'll go around and shoot some
Oh,
pictures.
yeah?
Yeah, I'll go take
You
pictures
s-
of wildlife and stuff. Yeah.
It's so, have you seen on Netflix, there's a series, The Residents. Have you seen it?
No.
Hilarious. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you shoot nothing, but maybe you want to check it out.
All
Like
right.
the main character in the movie is, I don't know how you call these people, you would know, who love birds and who go
Hmm.
birding.
Right.
It's a bird book, and so it's super funny. In any case, that was a sidetrack. Okay, wow, so super busy. Uh,
Hmm.
so, in all of your years of coaching, and we also did a private session, and I have been lucky to be in many breakout rooms with you with integration calls and mastermind in action. So yeah, I know the quality of, I think you are one of the most epic coaches that I've ever met. Like you're so on point and also like really. Yeah, what's the problem? Oh, yeah. Actually, there is no problem at all. Just giving me the feeling and others, but I can only speak for myself best, right? Giving me the feeling like, oh yeah, of course, everything is just super okay as it is. Like what have you noticed is the common, or is there like a common denominator between, let's say, most people, what people suffer from or are worried about? Is
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, thank you for the kind words too. Um, I mean the simplest thing is resistance, right? Resistance to, even how you're describing my coaching and helping people, dissolve a problem or just see it in a different light kind of has a different way of resonating. So when I'm in resistance to life, to myself, to situations, circumstances, then I'm suffering, right? And it doesn't change the circumstances. They are what they are, and then my view of it creates a bit of resistance, which creates suffering. So a big part of my journey, when I was going through that dark night was just coming to profound acceptance for what I was feeling. And that profound acceptance allowed that feeling to release its grip on me. So getting out of resistance is a big step for people. Like, I'm not happy with the way that I look or feel or what's going on in my life or this relationship or this finance or Not saying they're easy, but they are what they are for right now. And the first kind of step to presence is accepting it. Why would you accept it? Because it is the way that it is.
Yeah.
And so that's it. And then that helps you get some creative ideas and some ins, really the work with me is to discover your deepest wisdom. It's not me that has the wisdom, it's you. But
No,
and
you do.
well, I have my own, right? But
Yeah.
it's not, I don't do it, you do it, but we work to get you out of resistance. So then the wisdom and there's like a depth that comes through you when you're no longer fighting life.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite type of client?
You're gonna put me on the spot with a client. All of them. Press the pause button and then I'll expand. No, I like people that want to create stuff that are inspired, like I have a wide variety of clients, especially because I have the ones that come through how you know me through Peter's world, which attracts a wide variety of people. Some people are very health, suffering, a lot of darkness and that kind of stuff, lots of other types too. But in my own world with my background and my own business, I have some executive coaching, and I tend to I just like people that inspire me. That's really my ideal client is that they inspire me with what they're committed to creating in their life, whatever it is. And yeah, so people that are creative, that are wanting to do something, wanting to expand, just feel a little bit stuck, that are looking to really like find the depth of their voice and their expression of life. That's the ideal client.
That's nice. And it's a nice segue also into my next question. And it's funny that you use the word voice because I get a lot of compliments on my voice. Like I make like little videos and I always had a really strong pull to using my voice. And then so not so much me being visible, but just like talking.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of a sad, yeah, whatever. No. What I wanted to ask was because for me, it segues into purpose. I have a feeling that a lot of people, I don't know, you have to tell me as a coach. A lot of people are looking for their purpose. Like, what is my purpose? But I think that's actually not the right question. I don't know. Like, what do you say to people that come to you? Like, can you help me find my purpose? Because I guess you sometimes have that.
Yeah. Yeah, people would come for clarity, for connection, for purpose, for usually what people come for and talk about isn't actually what they want. So it's kind of the fun part. It's like I want this business, I want this relationship, I want this thing, and then as we dive in, it's something else. It's an authentic expression, it's finding their voice, it's finding their like limitless power to create, which is in you and in me. So in your question, since you brought it up, what is in the way of using your voice more? Like, is there something that you're called to do that you're not doing? Is that why that example? Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Well, is there something that, no, I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it on like, I think I do it daily.
Yeah.
Daily I make little videos, and I'm just like very slowly following the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I I feel like my purpose is just being me,
Yeah.
and everything will fall into place whenever it's time to fall into place, because I don't really believe in um putting out offerings continuously because that's not how I roll. Like I love to create stuff when I feel inspired. And then my experience is that people always find me in a very interesting way
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think similar to you, the short answer would be self-discovery is kind of the purpose. It's connection with spirit. It's finding something that's been there the whole time, that's been dormant, that's been covered up by constraints, stories, ways of being, way I'm relating to everything, the way that I see life in the way of something deeper. There's like a bridge to self-discovery, and that's to me makes it is people come for purpose, like what am I going to do? But it's in the being that creates the doing. So we go back to discovering the being, who you are, which then gives rise to creative instinct and ideas and things that you can do that might, align with your your soul's kind of mission here.
Yeah. Yeah, someone important to me is very good in like in arts. And um he got from home that it's not a what most artists get probably. I don't know if most, but a lot of artists know this, that it's not a real job and it's not really. So and as a consequence, like now I'm kind of filling in things, but like this is how I interpret it. He doesn't really see the value of himself in this area. And I believe always like where you what you love to do most, but are kind of scared of or insecure about, I feel that that's kind of where the gold is. I don't know if that's general, but that's what I feel. Would you say that I'm onto something? Like, is that true? Do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. I mean, I think for you, it's just, trusting how you see things in general. Um, yeah, I think we're kind of meant to be in a little bit of discomfort and expanding, right? It kind of seems like we want to be um just kind of hanging out on a hammock, drinking margarita and just relaxing, not in a discomfort. I like hammocks and, whatever. A margarita could be okay. I don't really drink, but that's okay a little bit, maybe. But yeah, I think finding that discomfort is where the growth is, right? It's like outside of the comfort zone, there's something and there's some courage. And then if you've got, we've come across like artists and there's a lot of just general beliefs that society, depending on where you grew up, has created the starving artist, right? That's a common thing, or that, yeah, the value's not there, they don't know how to create it. People get stuck on the how, but the inner value can create outer value.
Yeah,
And so that's where the work is with somebody that would do some work with me, would
yeah,
be to just clear out those limiting beliefs and constraints and views and see what's remaining after that. And then the action is still uncomfortable
yeah,
because you're taking a step in the face of an old you that protected yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when we talked, when I asked you to do the interview, I told you about how I am now also doing a Brave Mystic training in addition to the mastermind, and I will do a yoga teacher training. And
Mhm.
I love how Neelam, someone we both know, she
Mhm.
commented on a post that I wrote in one of the communities. She said, "Ah, Trinity of Transformation," and I thought, "Oh, that's beautiful." Because for me, Neville Goddard is soul, Peter is mind, Peter Crone and yoga is body.
Mhm.
So yeah, that sounds very true. And I talked about how that is a Neville Goddard based teaching, and you said, "Oh, I've been into Neville Goddard as well when I
Mhm.
was." Can you, is that something worth mentioning, or was it really fleeting, or is it something you're still into?
Yeah, I've liked a lot of his stuff. I would say I've read quite a bit and listened to quite a bit, but read a lot, and it's very aligned. And one of the things I really like about um, his work, and then someone else I've studied, which is Wayne Dyer,
Yeah,
is everyone's kind of taking someone else's work and not taking it as in stealing it, but reframing it. And
yeah.
Neville Goddard uses a lot of scriptures from the
Mm,
Bible and then interprets it into a language of manifestation, like wishes fulfilled or something like that. And I just like that because for me that it's a nice permission that the work is just the work. It doesn't really belong to anybody. And just taking something like Neville Goddard looked at the Bible and said, well, that language is kind of difficult for some people to sit down and read. So if I share a scripture and then break it down, then I can share it like this. And then Wayne Dyer has a book that I just finished that was taken from Neville Goddard's books and just reframed again
mm,
into a new language. And in a way, that's what I do. All the like mentors and teachers that I've studied under, it's like it's not my work, but I'm able to express it in my own way and have a connection to the same source that created that work. So a big part of his was is really in the imagination and in the like I don't know if it's really called manifestation from him, but what a lot of
uh,
people would think of as manifestation, which is wishes fulfilled,
yeah,
coming from the end as if it's already happened and
yeah.
getting into that end place. So that's been somewhat influential on me as one of the people I've studied. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks a lot about the law of assumption. Yeah, I've been studying Neville for a long time, but I go back and like so I see life kind of as this Fibonacci spiral. And I start somewhere and then I follow different things and then I'm at that point again, but then, on another
Mhm.
point at the same
Yeah.
level. And then I always go back to the teacher. Like with Neville, I've left and came back many times already.
Mhm.
So, and I told you also then, which is, I think it's pretty funny because sometimes when Peter says things, Peter Crone, I hear it later or I heard it before from via Neville. And I think,
Mhm.
yeah, that's interesting. And as you said, everything like it comes from the same source. It's
Yeah.
all like common knowledge. And so I had this dream where Peter told me you have to dive deeper into Neville's teachings. And the next day I had this email show up like last call to join this Brave Mystic training, which is based on Neville's teaching. So that's amazing. I'm super happy to be diving deeper into that. And I thought it was so nice and synchronistically that you also
Mhm.
know of him. And yeah. Um, I have a couple of more questions. I don't want to make it too long. It's not even necessary to make it very long. Anyway,
Okay.
um, I'm gonna end with this. Yeah. Do you have favorite quotes? Like, what is one of, do you have a quote that you continuously come back to and work with and share with others?
Yeah, I think there's probably a few, there's like the Rumi quote, out beyond the right doing and the wrong doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. So, a lot of us are in this judgment, this is right and this is wrong, what they did's wrong. And I get it. I'm not saying what someone did is, I'm not approving all the behavior out there,
Yeah.
but just out of that world, there's a field. What's that field? It's a space of possibility of peace and ease and flow. So I like that one. I think one that I sent to you from Robert Frost, freedom lies in being bold. And I think that's the taking action. When you're able to just step into something, you get a sense of freedom just by being yourself, being bold. Um, yeah, I mean, similarly, the Shakespeare, nothing is neither right nor wrong, only thinking about it makes it so. It's kind of a fun one to just come back to, like, where does this view live? It's in the thinking about it that makes it such a thing. And everyone's very, in a world that's polarized and we all have our opinions and views, that one can be just kind of useful to stir some stuff up. Quite a few quotes, but yeah, those are a few.
Hmm. And like I think in quotes usually as well. Like when I do things and I catch myself thinking something that's not helpful, I usually have some like um okay, this may be a bit. There was a time I was super into Tony Robbins. Like now he's a bit too much like do 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 for me, but I still appreciate his work and he has done some amazing and things. And usually this is with training when I like I can't be bothered. And he said something to the effect of what was it again? Character is built or isn't built when things are easy. And so that always gets me, like, gives me a kick. And I'm like, okay, let's go because I want to be someone who has character and not. Oh, and that, by the way, do you believe in carving out a persona? Because that's kind of also what Neville speaks about, right? Like the state creates and like think about who you want to be. And Dr. Maxwell Maltz also spoke about these things
Hmm.
like that you rehearse, that you kind of have a vision of, okay, what type of person do I want to be? What is your thought about a process like that?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good question. Yeah, sort of, right? Like I look at the work that I do as carving, like you say, carving out a persona as like chipping away at everything that's not me. And then through my journey in the absence of that, then I felt a little bit confused and lost about, well, who am I then? If I'm not all these things, then who am I? So there is an element of conscious creation that can come into that. Like what am I creating and writing it and speaking it and thinking about it and having something that's connected to who I am in the absence of all these things that I'm not. So if I'm out of this world of not good enough, not wanted, not safe, and whatever else I'm creating, if I step out of that, which is carving out all of this stuff chipping away at, then there's something left, which is kind of the real dynamic me. But in the adult world, sometimes that can be confusing, and it's like, well, now I don't know because I'm out of that old world into this new one. I don't even know who I am. And having some grace and some time to create it, and then yeah, kind of like what you're saying is then have a vision, have a language around it, have a like if I could create anything, if money were no object, who would I be and what would I create? And then starting it get connected with that.
Mm. Yeah, and we began with resistance, right? You said one of
Mhm.
the most important thing is like I'm using my words here, is releasing resistance against whatever. And well, I believe that everything is manifested, created through the nervous system. And when we have a nervous system that is in fight and flight, you will create a lot of chaos.
Mhm.
And when you have a relaxed nervous system that's not in resistance, then things flow. And so also the experience of love and money and harmony and all of these things just go easily because of the non-resistance. I wanted to say, do you agree? But of course you agree.
Yeah, no, it's a nice way of seeing it. But yeah, that's the cool part is doing the inner work like this. The byproduct can be the things that you originally wanted, the business, the money, the relationship. But if they're the focus, like I need that, then you're creating from a lack
Yeah.
and there's something in the way of it, and there's like an energetic barrier. So we kind of shift directions and do the inner work, and then a byproduct can be, well, the money, the abundance flows through me. It's always been here, abundance and love and relationship and opportunity and possibility, that's there, but not when my I put on these lenses and I look at life through these lenses or look at myself through the lenses. So yeah.
Yeah. I have one personal question. And
Okay.
maybe I'm super curious what you're going to say. And I'm already thinking like, oh, what would he say to this? Like for me, like a a question for Jesse, for me, because I'm speaking to you. So I have a tendency to get anxious when I don't hear from someone that I am dating within a certain time frame.
Mhm.
What would you say that is? The anxiousness of,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, anxiousness typically, from my view, is like I'm not going to be okay, like a future-based proposition, right? So and then you're kind of not okay now, right? Because the
true.
view is like it's, what I would say is inside of you, at no fault of your own, there's a story being created. Like it's that this person doesn't, maybe they're not that interested in me. Maybe this isn't going to work out. Maybe there's that side. And then the other side is we suffer from expectations, our own expectations. Like my expectation is that you would respond to me within 4 hours. Not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just an expectation. And if you don't meet it, now I'm suffering.
Yeah.
But we don't have like an agreed way of communicating, particularly new in dating. Everyone's kind of like figuring out how to just be themselves and how to not be too much, how not to be too little, all of that. So I think my invitation to you is, see, there's nothing wrong with anxiousness, right? It's just how you feel. That's okay. It just means you care and you're wanting something to happen, and it seems like maybe it's not happening at that moment, and then when they respond, then the anxiousness is gone until the next time.
Until the next, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of having some grace with yourself that you're human. We are sentient beings that feel things, and we want, relationships to work out and these things. So just being aware that there's a part of you that's like holding on to something that you can let it go, right? What you brought up, which I thought was a beautiful reflection from something I said about surrender.
Mm.
Like, okay, like you're following breadcrumbs, as you said, there's something that's here for you. If it's really for you, then you don't have to go seeking it. You still have to like respond to somebody, or else there's never a date, right? You don't sit and meditate and then the dates come to you. I mean, maybe because it's you and you've got this voice and people love it, they might find you. But in this case, it's just letting it all go again and trusting, right? Trusting in life, trusting in yourself, trusting that you've got the value, who you are. You're this dynamic divine woman that does the trinity of mind, body, spirit. You bring this to the table. There's nothing for you to be anxious about. Like somebody will meet that where it needs to be met, and then you won't that stuff can wash away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because I do have nothing to be worried about. Like it's and I know it's all in my mind and it's funny I can catch it and I thought it's so interesting that it's coming up. But it's fine and as you said just have grace with the human part of you. Kind of
Yeah,
really translate it what you
yeah,
said. In the meantime, I'm asking way more questions.
that's okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
planned
we
for
have
the
time. We have
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um Yeah, what do you think is an adjective? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that fits life best. So what is life supposed to be according to you?
Yeah, good question. I would say the simplest one is really connected and fun, right? Like just being connected to me and having fun. That childlike spirit, even in the scriptures, it's become like a child to access the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within. So, the me, the you that was 5 years old knew how to express and play and enjoy. And so connection to self and an expression of just playfulness and fun is one of the doorways for life.
I love that. I didn't know that that was a scripture. Do you say it like that? In scripture or a scripture? Oh,
A, either
okay.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, nice. So become like a child to
And
enter the kingdom,
access the kingdom of
access.
heaven. Yeah. Or enter. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Kingdom of heaven is within.
ah, that's so cool. Yeah, that's it's so true. I like yeah, no, I wanted to say something, but it's so not interesting for the people watching. So okay, no,
You
let's
know?
no, it was too well, F it. So we had the coaching with Peter Crone last my son well our Sunday, but other
Mhm.
people Saturday. And we had so much fun on the side in the WhatsApp group because we were listening to the coachings, but at the same time we were on
Mhm.
a WhatsApp group with some people and Liz, we both know Liz and she's hilarious. So
Mhm.
we had so much fun during and that was exactly how I came off of that whole these hours. I was so elated and I felt so filled up with happiness and life by just being super playful because there was
Yeah.
some pretty heavy stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, because we were also present for it, but we weren't weighed down by it. S-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder, especially if you do this kind of work, like the work that you and I are talking about, mindset work, and just looking at your deepest, darkest corners, your inner being, where you're stuck, where you're in resistance, is to be playful, which is why I like to be funny and light in these kind of conversations where as you know me from the coaching, is like a playfulness because can be so heavy that just laughing, being a kid again, allowing this expression to flow through you, singing, dancing, expression of life that was there. It's part of the being super present. Like when you're like that, that's when time flies, right? When you're stuck in traffic, it seems like time's really slow. Time hasn't changed. It's my, psychological time has shifted when I'm having fun. What do they say? Time flies when you're having fun. And then, so being in that playfulness helps be just super present and it's timeless.
Yeah. Um, can you repeat the Rumi quote one more time because you said it so quickly?
Okay, yeah. Out beyond the right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
Really beautiful. I had not heard that one before. I had it, yeah, I know the one with it's not your, I don't know if he says job or task, seeking for love,
Seeking for
but
love, but removing all the barriers to love.
yeah,
Yeah, which is another great one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a great
yeah,
one as well. Yeah, I love how different people have different quotes that
yeah.
they, yeah. Um, let's do the last question. What is something that you're excited about for the near future?
For the near future, I'm super blessed. Like I've got, really just excited about. Well, there's personal stuff and there's work stuff, but I love the work stuff. I love working with people, helping people create things in their life, break free, find a, deepened sense of self and wisdom. So I'm always excited about that. In my own little space, I've got some little things I'm creating, workshops and group things, and outside of where you know me from, and that's exciting. And then I'm going somewhere new, which is Hong Kong and mainland China on a little trip. For my father-in-law's 80th, and I'm excited about that because I've just never been, and that sounds like it'll
Yes.
be kind of cool.
When is that?
It's in a few weeks. Yeah.
I hope
Couple-
not the beginning of November because then I am at the Gold Coast.
No, it's before then. You're
Okay.
coming to the Gold Coast. Okay.
Yeah, I have to leave New Zealand for the visa thing
All
and
right.
yeah.
You're coming out here. Cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, sounds good. Coaches on couches, is that still going?
Oh yeah, yeah, we are due for another one.
Okay.
That's me and the other two coaches that you know from Peter's community, Gary and Jared. And yeah, we've been doing Coaches on Couches, which is kind of like a podcast style, just a casual chat with the three of us. We're around the world. We have different perspectives, but we have similar teachings under Peter Crone's stuff, but we've also come from various backgrounds. So it's just kind of nice to get some different angles and different views. Like you said, everyone has their quotes that are a little bit different, and so we see things different. So we just, yeah, have a little chat, talk about some of this stuff, take questions, and that's something that we'll be, yeah, continuing to create.
Nice, nice. So I will, for anyone who is interested in finding out more about you that we haven't covered because I think we covered it all. I'll just post some like links and whatnot in the
Cool.
description.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time and
Yeah.
bring my curiosity.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was super fun to hang out with you, Victoria Monique.